so the first exercise is the Turkish get-up. The Turkish get-up is a combination of different movements that allow you to go from standing down to the floor, lying on your back, all the way back up to standing, without ever really losing control or form of your movement pattern. So there's 8 different steps in the Turkish get-up, and we're going to go through them together right now. So the first step is you lying on your back. So bring yourself down to the floor. So in this beginning position, choose a side. I'm going to choose my left side to be my lead leg. So my left knee and hip are bent. My left foot is flat on the floor. My right leg and my right arm are out at a matching sort of like 45-degree angle. And then this arm is straight up. My eyes are going to stay fixed on my hand because eventually you might feel inclined to hold a kettlebell or something while you do this movement pattern as a way to develop full body strength. So the first transition so this is the first position, lying on your back. We're going to transition from lying on the back to lying on the shoulder. To do that, we're going to push through the left foot and punch through the left arm up to the sky so that we can roll onto our right shoulder and our right hip at the same time. So it's really important that you are doing this with the same movement happening at the lower body as it is in the upper body. In this situation, I only moved my upper body, but my hips didn't really come along because I'm not really on my hip. I'm sort of still on my butt. So we don't want to dissociate the upper body from the lower body. We want to log roll or pencil roll all the way over. So pushing through using the strength of this hip. Still feeling like I have good connection. So if I was with you and I tried to come around and lift your foot off the floor, it wouldn't work. You wouldn't let me because you're keeping that engagement and that line of strength. So from here, now we're stacking the shoulders and we're stacking the hips as best we can. And I'm going to make sure that this bottom elbow and bottom shoulder are bent at 90 degrees, kind of like a half goalpost. So from here, I want to roll as far forward as I can until I feel the pressure sort of travel all the way down my arm until I can leverage through that elbow and come from the shoulder up onto the forearm. So it's kind of like I'm doing a little bit of a high five as I transition. So palm is up. Palm comes down. From here, do any adjustments you need to so that you feel like there's a straight line from this top hand all the way through your shoulders down to this elbow. Good. So this bottom shoulder is strong and active. You want to try and make sure that you're never collapsing or sinking into the joint. You're always trying to reach as far up as you can. So you've got really good, strong, active support through that bottom shoulder. So from elbow support, we're going to transition up into hand support. So you're going to push through the floor and find hand support. Do any little adjustment that you need so that your top hand all the way through your shoulder into a straight line with your bottom hand. And again, check in with what's happening at that shoulder. Is it collapsing? Are you collapsing through here? Use the strength of the hand to push through the arm so that you can reach up as high as you can. If I was with you, I would be trying to push you down into the floor, but you wouldn't let me because you're strong. You're finding your strength, connecting all the way through to this hand. So the next position, so this is a tall sitting position. The next position is tripod, but to get there, we have to transition this front leg behind us. So you're going to use your left foot You're going to push into the floor, and you're going to push into your hand so that you can lift your hips up. So lots of strength and support happening here. How high you lift is up to you. If you want to lift just a little bit so that you can bring that foot underneath, or you can do a full expression. Again, don't let this collapse. Stay strong and open. Full extension through the hip. Coming into tripod. So I've got 3 points of contact on the floor. Knee is stacked over foot. Knee is stacked under hip. Wrist, elbow, shoulder are stacked. So everything that we're trying to do here is about stacking support. So from here, tripod position, I want to come up onto my knees for kind of like a kneeling lunge. So the transition to go from tripod to kneeling lunge is sitting back, offloading the hand, and then bringing the hips forward. So in this situation, my legs are, if I want to go from this position up to standing, there's one thing I have to do before I can do that, which is to bring this front foot around or pivot through that back foot, or the back hip, I should say. So you were just in tripod, 3 points of contact, stacking. You're going to sit back, offload that hand, push the hips through, pivot the back or pivot the front. From this half kneeling position, I want to be able to go into standing. So I'm going to shift my body weight forward into this front leg and push through the entire foot to come up into standing. So that's the Turkish get up, going from the floor to standing. We want to be able to do that exact same sequence going from standing down to the floor. So that looks like, again, left side. So left arm is up, which means our left leg is going to be in front, left and left. So I'm going to step back with my right. Now I'm in a half kneeling position. So to transition, I need to open up my hips so that I can bring this hand to the floor and find tripod position, so I can hinge my hips backwards as opposed to falling forwards with my spine. So you'll see in that one my hips didn't really move at all. So what I want to be able to do is actually send my hips backwards, keeping good strength and alignment through my core and my spine. Come into my hand. So from tripod position, we want to transfer this back leg through. So I'm going to sweep, come into that hip bridge position, or if you're not bridging, you're going to go from tripod position, sweep and come down at the same time. Again, really trying to keep your strength here. Any little adjustments you need to do to find that alignment where you're stacked is encouraged. So from this hip bridge position, then I'm going to lower down, keeping this nice and straight. So as I lower down, my hips are actually kind of going towards this foot so that I can keep this straight line all the way from my top hand all the way through, and that my shoulder isn't collapsing. So it's kind of almost like you're rolling the shoulder backwards and open so that your chest and your collarbones stay nice and wide. So now that we're down to hand support, we have to transition to elbow support. So you're going to do a little bit of a elbow bend under load. So from elbow support down to shoulder support, we want to go down the same way we came up. So we have to stack hips and shoulders, and then we're in our side lying position, and then we go onto our back. So as you get more comfortable with this, these individual stations or positions within the movement pattern start to blend, and it will just start to feel like one fluid movement pattern. So let's do that one more time so that you have a full expression of it. So I'll lie down. I'm going to switch sides. From my back to my shoulder. From my shoulder to my elbow. From my elbow to my hand. From tall kneeling to tripod. From tripod to half kneeling. Half kneeling to standing. From standing to half kneeling. From half kneeling to tripod. From tripod through to the bridge and lower down into tall, sort of like sitting. Lower down into elbow support. From elbow down to shoulder. And then from shoulder to your back. So that's a full sequence of how to do the Turkish